And once a class is played from each school, it can no longer be played from the rest of the match or for the rest of the match, um, regardless of winning or losing. They can no longer play that class. So if the Violet teachers bring Paladin in the first game, and it doesn't matter if they win or lose with it, they'll no longer be able to play Paladin for the rest of the match. But their opponents can if they haven't played it yet. So hopefully that makes sense. 9 classes, possibly 5 games, so still a good amount of options, even down to the last game between the players. A lot of the time we notice people saving decks like Freeze Mage until they've seen Warrior and Druid because those are some bad matchups, but in general, Freeze Mage beats like all the other decks or has a good matchup or at least an even matchup with like all the other decks. So decks like that you can play a little more often in a format like this because you know what your opponent can't play because they've already played it,
Right.
and so you can make some deck choices based on that.
Right. I definitely think there's a lot of strategy involved with a kind of format like this where you can like base your next like queue choices based on what the opponent has left. Like maybe we've already seen warrior, we've already seen druid. Okay, we're not scared. We're gonna queue freeze mage.
Yeah, right. Plenty of different things you can do here. Um,
All right. Looks like we're ready to hop into our first game of the series, and it's going to be Thunderhorn from New York University's Violet Teachers versus Macausing from Rutgers Scarlet Crew.
all right, sounds good.
Players queuing up. I'll be ready in just a moment.
Blind pick. Usually people bring Paladin, they bring Druid, they bring like Burn Shaman. There's a lot of good choices for decks that can win like any matchup. Um, Players just considering what they want to bring though.
Right. I wonder if we have. I wonder if there's like. What do you think like has been the most popular deck choice? I feel like every week, we've been seeing Warlock for sure. Mostly Zoo, I want to say. Not as much Reno Lock. Definitely been seeing a lot of Warrior as well.
Yeah, I think it's Warlock, and then probably followed by Druid or Paladin. And yeah, Warrior's
Yeah,
definitely really
definitely
popular.
a lot of Paladin. We've been seeing Paladin. I'm pretty sure almost every team has been playing Paladin. There's just like very many archetype types of Paladin that are viable right now. And what do we know? We're going straight into Warrior versus Paladin. So looks like a Control Warrior from Thunderhorn on NYU side, and Orpheus is going to be playing, wow, another Murloc Paladin. So this is actually known to be one of the best matchups for the Murloc Paladin.
Yeah, we actually I mean, I guess they were inspired by like the last match. They saw anything open up and they saw him win. So yeah, I agree though. The Anyfin deck can definitely stomp Warrior. With what it has at its disposal, it can stall out just as well as the Warrior can, and I would say it's better at closing out the game.
Right. It's just that the Anyfin combo does so much damage, and the Control Warrior is so slow at killing you that traditionally, even if you're gaining a ton of armor every turn, by the time that second Anyfin hits, they've dealt like over 50 damage.
Yeah, and the Anyfins you can use like
You can
very
use them
far apart.
aggressively, basically.
Well, yeah, you can. They're very flexible, I guess. You can play your Murlocs if you happen to get a lot of Murlocs in the mid game. You draw your Anyfin, you play it on turn 10. You can get a lot of Murlocs out there. And then eventually you draw the second Anyfin. You do a lot more burst damage, and you have another big board that the warrior has to deal with. And it's a pretty big headache from the warrior side, unless you happen to have like brawls ready to go. But even then, you're
Right,
taking a lot of damage from the burst, the initial burst that happens when an Anyfin is played.
right. So typically, I think the way that you lose this game from the Murloc Paladin side is is that you just don't draw into your Murlocs. You draw into all your removals, and all your Murlocs are at the bottom. And then the warrior has enough chances to like armor up past what you can do in the turns you have left. But this is not the case in this match, and Makausing here has 3 Murlocs in hand already. So I'm thinking this is gonna be pretty rough for Thunderhorn. He's actually gonna go with the pre-equipped Fiery War Axe, assuming that this is kind of some kind of aggressive paladin, either Secret Paladin or Aggro Paladin. He's gonna be a little bit disappointed here. So Makausing's just gonna choose to hero power here. Doesn't need to play the Murloc into that.
Yep. You can just play it really slow from the
Right.
paladin side. You don't need to do anything. Especially against the Fire War Axe. You might as well just wait a little bit. Maybe Thunderhorn will use his War Axe on your 1/1, and then that's pretty good for you. Which he does. Alrighty, still a lot of options here. But it's just gonna be a hero power pass. This is how like really old Paladin used to play, like way back when Paladin wasn't good. I'm not talking about like way back when Paladin was good, but there's this long time where people played like mid-range Paladin, like nobody played mid-range Paladin. I mean, it
It
was
was
like
Healadin then.
extinct.
It was like control paladin.
Yeah, there were no shielded mini bots, no musters for battle. Paladin just made hero powers until turn 4 every game, and maybe they played a true silver then.
Alright.
Um,
I think that Thunderhorn is a little suspicious now. He's like, alright, this paladin just hero powered twice in a row. This might not be Secret Paladin. So he's actually gonna go ahead and throw away that weapon. Because, I mean, he's got the Dust Bite coming. Maybe he's like, alright, I'm probably just gonna Dust Bite something next turn anyway.
yeah, still a good amount of options here.
Right. Um. So what does Orpheus do here?
Hmm. I mean, it could just be make a hero power, play a Murloc. You don't have to do anything crazy. And then next turn,
Yeah.
True Silver could be used to deal with the Elise, I think, maybe.
Right. I was thinking actually Coin Belcher might be a good play here because you saw Thunderhorn doesn't really have a good way to remove it right now, right? Versus if we let him set up the Dust Bite, it's a really clean kill on it. I don't know. You also don't have to be super defensive right now. We're not really scared of dying or anything. So he's actually just gonna go for the True Silver. Okay, so maybe set up like True Silver this turn, run a Murloc into it next turn.
Yeah, that looks good to me. Still a good amount of ways to deal with it. This is definitely where the skill can show in this matchup on what McCausing decides to do in these situations, whether he plays it really slow, which it looks like he's going to do. I mean, he's got Golden Paladin. I think he's used to playing the game out pretty slow. That is, unless he got it from playing Secret Paladin or something. Who knows? Um, but yeah, still plenty of options, and I like the way he's playing the game so far.
Alright, no need to rush here, taking it slow. Um, and so it's basically both players are playing the slow game right now. They're just like hero powering every turn, not really playing anything. Alright, there's not really a need to play anything right now. So Makausing actually has a couple options here. Maybe he wants to get one of his Murlocs out. Maybe he just wants to take out the 3/1 with his True Silver and play Belcher. Um, but like actually Makausei's hand is like unusually minion heavy, I would say, for this deck that actually does run a lot of cycle cards.
Yep, plenty of cycle cards, plenty of healing, anything later on to finish up the game. Murlocs to do stuff here. It's also got True Silver Champion, always a nice option.
Alright, so he decided to go with the Belcher and actually is not gonna clear off 3-1 here. Interesting. I think I would have liked to see him clear 3-1 just because he has the other True Silver in hand too. And also it makes this Belcher a lot weaker, it seems. Alright, so um Thunderhorns, he's kind of at a loss here because he's like, okay, I don't really have a good way to clear this Belcher, but I guess he can throw down the Sylvanas. I mean, the Sylvanas is really awkward for Mikauzi to deal with. Like, he doesn't really have a way to kill both these minions right now. I guess, I mean, he's got the pyro equality, but it's not really what you want to be using on this board. He can just choose to take out the 3-1 and leave the Sylvanas alone for now. The problem is that the Sylvanas does take out his Belcher really nicely, so maybe he's like, okay, I do want to do something about the Sylvanas. But on the other hand, he doesn't he doesn't really have to react to this board right now. He's got a lot of Murlocs in hand. He could just let Thunderhorn do the trading here with his Sylvanas and maybe just clean it up with the Murloc next turn. Alright, so it looks like he's just gonna go with the Tempo Doomsayer here. I actually like this play a lot, because it makes it so that he doesn't have to worry about the second half of the Sylvanas. It's pretty unlikely that NY can clear the Belcher and remove the Doomsayer at once. So like, let's get a clean board where we can just like throw our Murlocs down next turn. Again, I feel like these last couple of turns have been really awkward for both sides. Like, what does Thunderhorn do here? Does he just let this board go? He can't clear the Doomsayer very efficiently. Unless he's choosing to execute the Doomsayer. I actually think this is fine. I mean, it's you're playing a Murloc deck at this point. There's not really other good execute targets. You're definitely not gonna brawl because that's your one way of living past an any fin turn. So I think this play is fine actually. He realizes that maybe the Sylvanas is making things a little bit awkward for Macausing here, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna keep my Sylvanas on board. Unfortunately for him, Macausing has really good answers to this. He can either just run his 1-1 into the 3-1 and sack a Murloc. Even cons. I think I prefer sacking a Murloc though. Alright, so he's actually gonna choose to go for the Consecration here. I'm wondering if he's thinking about saving his Murlocs to combo with the War Leader and just use them like basically as huffers. Because if you combo with a War Leader, they just become 4/3s, right? So it's pretty good. Um, I don't know though. I feel like I would like to see some of these Murlocs rolling. But also for Macausing, he doesn't have any cycle in hand. So if he just plays everything out here, he doesn't really have a way to start finding his other combo pieces. So maybe he's thinking, alright, I'm gonna save him for removal instead. Alright. So unfortunately, Noma Dogen is going to be leaving us for now, so I'll just be taking over the cast solo. Hope you guys don't mind me with the solo monologue too much. The only downside is we're going to be having a little bit of upside down carding here. I'll scroll over these occasionally so you guys can see what's in the hand. So again, Rutgers has got a ton of Murlocs in hand, but no cycle to follow up with when they finally dump all their Murlocs. Let's see. Still, like, I feel like both of these players are still playing the matchup really slowly. And again, no need to really rush, right? In this matchup, you're not going to be, you don't really have to worry about dumping your whole hand unless you're going to be cycling soon. And again, Mikhazy hasn't found any cycle cards so far. Dr. Boom is a really good pickup. He didn't really have anything else to do prior to this, but now Dr. Boom seems like pretty clear play. I guess the question is, do we clear the Pyromancer here? Because first off, it's a really easy way for Rutgers to clear those boom bots with any spell, and also equality is a liability. Not really sure if Thunderhorn feels like he should consider another play. So I feel like as from Thunderhorn, he needs to start being aggressive here. I guess Thunderhorn is thinking, okay, I'm gonna clear here. Do I play Dr. Boom or do I go for the cycle? He was mousing over the Acolyte, so I assume that's what he's thinking. But so Mikhazy is going to be going into turn 9, so he still can't anyfin combo you, so it's not something you have to worry about. So I think now is actually the perfect time for Thunderhorn to drop his Dr. Boom. We see the first anyfin is picked up by Mikhazy here. But again, Mikhazy hasn't developed any of his Murlocs here. I'm wondering if he's deciding that this is the turn to start using them. Again, he can't play his anyfin actually until he starts getting some more leaders. But he does have a really easy clear here if he wants to go for the Pyro Equality. Looks like he's just going to be going for that. The Pyro Equality into the heal bot. Not really sure if Mikhazy's lagged out or something, but he's finished his turn and he just kind of let the rope burn out there. Alright, Thunderhorn picks up Despite, which is pretty perfect for this turn actually. He can clear off the heal ball and even develop his own Belcher or Acolyte if he likes. I think Belcher is a more likely play here. So if he plays the Acolyte, I guess he's thinking a little bit about this. He's like, okay, maybe I just need to cycle a card. But if he plays the Acolyte, he's for sure only getting one card out of it because it's getting killed by the Troop Silver, right? But if he plays the Belcher is not likely to get cleared this turn. The problem is, knowing that it's a Murloc deck, a lot of people as Control Warrior say that it's actually correct to hold off on your Belchers until you're like sure that they're gonna anyfin you, because that's the turn that is really gonna matter. Like right now, it's not really blocking anything, right? And you know that he hasn't developed his Murlocs yet, so there's no chance of you getting anyfin next turn. Question is, do we just armor pass? Do we play the Acolyte? There's a couple of questions we need to think about here, right? Wow, so we see the Ooze pickup from Mikhazy's side. It's gonna be really good on this Despite. Question is, like, what are we doing? What are we doing with these Murlocs? Are we just holding them back? Because if we throw out all the Murlocs now, it's actually not bad, right? We get quite a bit of damage to face, and Thunderhorn is actually forced to respond to them. It's actually quite unusual, I'd say, that Makazi hasn't found a cycle card by now. Yeah, I was actually a little bit curious if Makazi had lagged out because he wasn't making a move, and this was the rope was rolling already. But it looks like he's just gonna be hero power and passing again. So it looks like Makazi is really holding off to see a war leader here. He's refusing to play any of these Murlocs without value. And Thunderhorn, on the other hand, has two brawls ready. So as long as he can build up enough armor, I think he might have enough time to survive the first wave. Um, so typically the first wave alone with all the Murlocs is 22 damage, I believe. Um, so the thing is, I feel like Justicar is pretty key in this matchup. If you draw an early Justicar and you can armor past what that Murloc damage can do, then of course you're in a really good spot, right? But at this point, Thunderhorn is gonna die to two consecutive Anyfins. He's got to be thinking, all right, I need my Justicar here. So maybe he plays the Acolyte. It looks like he's been pretty hesitant to play it the past few turns though, so I'm still not sure if he's gonna be doing it this turn. So it's like Thunderhorn does decide to go for the Acolyte here. He's like, okay, it's time to throw down this Acolyte. I think he needs to find his Justicar in the next like few turns for him to have any chance of winning this. Because we know that once Makausing is able to develop his Murlocs, then it's gonna be GG, right? If he finds his Anyfins. But Thunderhorn's like, okay, we gotta get to Justicar here. Doomsayer is actually it's actually kind of unusual for Thunderhorn. I have seen it in a few lists, but I would say it's still not that common. So I guess we can conclude that Thunderhorn is playing the more fatigue style of this control warrior list. And there's a Justicar. This is the card that is going to be so crucial in this matchup. I think it's actually really important that he drew it this turn, and I think we have to start going for the armor ASAP. So right, so this is the right sequencing here. Armor once and Justicar and armor up again for a total of 6 armor. Makausing's still in an awkward spot, so I think this turn he's gotta at least use one of these Murlocs to clear off this Justicar. Just throw down one of the bluegills. But again, he's still it's turn 10, and Makausing hasn't found a single cycle card. It's actually been pretty rough for him. Like he's at even cards with the warrior. And at this point, like the Murloc wants to be cycling a lot of cards. They want to be finding their Murlocs, finding their war leaders, and eventually just drawing into their Anyfin, right? But at this point, like this Anyfin isn't gonna do anything unless Makausing can find his war leaders. And he's still got half his deck to go through. It's gonna be really unfortunate for Makausing if all his cycle cards happen to be at the bottom, because then he can't even cycle them properly because then fatigue is an issue, right? But to be honest, I don't think the game will make it that far. If it happens to be that the cards that he needs are at the bottom, then this Justicar hero power is going to be doing too much work, and he'll Thunderhorn will eventually armor out of range. So Thunderhorn is kind of like, okay, what do we do here? There's no way we're using a brawl on these 3/3s, but they're actually a little bit annoying, right? So I actually kind of like throwing down the Doomsayer here. Just makes it so that it's hard for Makauzing to clear, right, with just the 3 minions on board. Um, but chooses to hold back on that, saying, okay, we'll just let him clear with this board. And so Makauzing actually just picks up the Acolyte. So this is the first cycle card we've seen, and probably not the one that you want to see. I think he really wanted to see like either Lay on Hands or Solemn Vigil here. So he's like, okay, what do we do here? So I'm gonna think that, yeah, the play is probably just to clear off the 6/3 here, play out our own 1/3, and call it a day. Again, both players taking this matchup very slowly. And, alright, so we see the Shield Slam picked up by Thunderhorn. I'm curious if he wants to use it here. Alright, I like this better. Doomsayer. So if Thunderhorn doesn't have a way to clear this, then he's not getting any value off this Acolyte. Alright, so welcome It's Bolt from UBC to the cast. He's gonna be filling in for Nomo Dogan for the rest of the match here, so you don't just have me monologuing. Yeah, we are pretty far in the middle of our match here. Let me just get our screen share started.
Let's see.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so Thunderhorn picks up another Acolyte. I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't know if Thunderhorn is actually thinking about fatigue here. They're about at the same number of cards. Again, it's been really awkward for Makauzing the whole time because he's just straight up drawn Murlocs and no cycle. Thunderhorn's got to be thinking here though, like, okay, the most important thing for me is probably just to armor every turn. And so I hear from the Control Warrior side, the magic number to be out of range of the Anyfin combo is around 56. I don't know if that's accurate. That's what I heard from a friend. And of course, Thunderhorn is holding on to his Belchers, and it looks like this is finally going to be the turn that Makauzing's going to be making a push for damage because he picked up that War Leader. First round of damage, it's going to be 14 damage from hand without the Anyfin combo. 15 damage rather. So it's gonna be really awkward for Thunderhorn to deal with. He does have the brawl, but oh my gosh, Makauzing even throws out the well played there.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage, especially even if he brawls.
Right, the Anyfin is gonna make
yeah,
it all
the
come
Anyfin.
right back. Okay, so Thunderhorn decides I'm not gonna be brawling here. We're just gonna be clearing this off with our Acolyte. Can follow up with a Shield Slam, and another bash is actually pretty helpful too.
Yeah, the Bash is a really good draw. It lets him kill off minions and also armor up as well.
Right. So he's actually, I mean, so Makauzing hasn't drawn the second Anyfin yet. Again, so this is what I mentioned earlier. Makauzing didn't draw any of his cycles for the whole game, and now he's got 2 of them. So he's got a couple turns to find his second Anyfin, but the first Anyfin alone is not going to kill Thunderhorn here. So
Yeah,
Thunderhorn has some time.
Yeah, the first Anyfin would be 22 if all the Murlocs die.
Right.
And it looks like he's probably going to have to just cycle these Solemn Vigils at full mana cost.
Right. Because we have to also keep in mind that the Makauzing has only played 1 War Leader. This first combo is not going to do 22 damage, so he's got to be thinking about this. He's like, okay, Well, now I have three cycle cards, and I'm still missing a Murloc. So, okay. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna cycle these at full value, and there's a second Anyfin. So, what do you think's the play here? I think we should
Uh,
actually probably be going for Doomsayer.
yeah, you just want him to not do anything on his other turn.
Right. Because if he plays the Belcher eats up so much damage. It's actually like a really crucial part of this game is when you decide to play Belcher. If that Belcher buys you enough time to armor out of range of two Anyfins, it's like really, really important.
Yeah, the Belcher pretty much blocks out almost basically two Murlocs, especially since the second War Leader hasn't been played. Looks like he's just gonna play the Solemn Vigil here to cycle, and there's the second War Leader.
Right. There's more armor for Thunderhorn, so Thunderhorn's gotta be feeling pretty good about this. If he doesn't Belcher this turn, he's gotta know that he's about to be Anyfinned, but it's okay. He's got two Brawls in hand. Not a problem. Just make sure that you armor up every turn. It looks like he's mousing out for the BGH. He's like, maybe I'm gonna play this BGH instead. I don't know if it's gonna be relevant at this point.
Yeah, especially with the Leon hands in it.
Like honestly, I think the way the warrior wins this matchup is we armor out of range for his Anyfins, and then there's no way he can win, right?
Yeah,
We just gotta
there's
play
like
it
a
very
set
slow.
number.
Yeah.
So here comes the Aldor and the War Leader just to get it on board with because he has the Anyfin, the double Anyfins in hand.
Alright, so throws down the second war leader, so he's making sure that we're gonna get max damage out of these Anyfins here. So again, with this Anyfin or with this second war leader down, that first Anyfin is gonna be 22 damage from hand. But again, I also think that Thunderhorn is actually approaching like the point of stabilization. And with
Yeah,
that second Belcher pickup is like really, really important here.
yeah, with the second Belcher and with how much armor he's getting per turn, it's starting to look pretty bad for the Paladin.
Right.
Here comes the Gromash to kill off the War Leader. Mm. So if he Anyfins here, that's 22 damage. Along with the
Right.
Aldor, that's the 3 damage, so that's 25.
Right. And he's like he's got to clear this Grom, right? I don't know. I guess you don't have to clear the Grom. If he doesn't clear the Grom, you assume that you're gonna get brawled anyway, right? So
Yeah,
we're just taking 10 to face. I don't think you clear it. I think you just actually just throw everything to face. Yeah, that seems
yep.
right.
Because if the Warrior puts down the Belcher, he still has a quality clears
Right.
along with the Doomsayers, and he's pretty much at full health right now.
Right. But unfortunately, the brawl into Belcher is gonna block McHousing out for another turn.
Yeah,
Because McHousing won't have lethal through this Belcher.
yeah, the Belcher is a big obstacle for the Paladin, especially since he has two Belchers in hand. This lay on hands is really awkward now since he didn't draw it early on into the game.
Right. And Orpheus got to be thinking here. He's like, all right, we're kind of at the end of the line here. We've only got one combo left, and that's a Belcher. I don't have lethal. I wonder if he thinks that there's a possibility that he could have lethal. Is there? So I guess best case is all right. So you need to take out the Belcher. So that's already taking up two bluegills, right?
Yeah,
Two bluegills. Best case you get two war leaders. Doesn't that work out? I think
Uh,
if it works out if you roll 2 war leaders. There's a bad case in which you could not get 2 war leaders. But you can also play it safe and just try to clear this Belcher.
yeah. If,
Unfortunately for him though, that next Belcher is going to come down right after it.
maybe you could just consider playing the Doomsayer here.
Yeah, I think so too. Like the Doomsayer is really really good for setting up your combo turns.
Yeah, because if you're gonna play your combo next turn, you definitely want to clear the board, and Doomsayer just sets that up perfectly.
Right.
Hmm. It's kind of awkward for the warrior now too, because
So I think that if the warrior next turn, if Thunderhorn like plays, or I guess this board is really awkward. Like how
yeah,
does he clear this, right? But the thing is, he if he doesn't clear it, like he can't
he's
get
just
comboed
dead.
yet.
Oh,
If he
if he,
Belcher, he can Belcher bash armor up, right? He could even shield slam that Belcher if he wanted to,
yeah, you could have a 1-2 on the board, and that's it.
right? We could Belcher bash shield slam.
Yeah,
Actually, we're actually a bit short here. Like if we Belcher bash, oh he's actually gonna bash face. Holy crap! Okay,
bash face armor up.
yeah,
Alright.
armor up, shield
Yeah,
slam the Belcher. That seems fine,
yeah. The only awkward thing about this is that he doesn't play the Belcher.
right?
He could have also bashed the Aldor, armored up and shield slammed
Right. Oh man,
onto
and
the Belcher.
he actually roped there, but he picked up a Doomsayer, and I actually think the Doomsayer was fine this turn, right? Doomsayer would
Yeah.
have been really good with your 2 leftover mana. It's unfortunate he kind of roped out there at the end.
So here comes a consecration, maybe. If he's consecration, he's definitely playing the Doomsayer next to prevent another Belcher.
Right. I actually think so. McCousing. Yeah. So McCousing's got to be just hoping here, like, okay. So even if he plays the Belcher, I'll be okay, right? So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that McCousing was still lethal here, right? Barring something else.
Yeah, unless he kills the Doomsayer and plays. Hmm.
So I don't know. So do
He
we
would need
like
to slam
slam and
into
look for an
execute.
answer? Yeah, slam execute. I think is probably the way here. Because we need our Belcher to live to not die here. But the problem is it actually still might be lethal if he leaves the 3/3 on the board.
Yeah.
Oh, the
There's a
monkey
golden monkey.
is the monkey the way? I'm not sure.
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't
he
think
can
so.
afford to.
All right, so he's just gonna go for the Belcher here and hope that he has enough armor for it to work out. I think it's gonna be very close depending on how the Murlocs roll. You can
Yeah.
get unlucky as the Murloc here and not roll two Merc Eyes and get wrecked. But
Oh,
he
there you go.
does indeed roll 2 Merc Eyes. And so it's gonna be 28 plus 8 damage, and it is gonna be lethal.
Yep. Yeah, you would have to be pretty unlucky though.
Yeah. You just get unlucky by you rolled too many of the bluegills, and then you don't have lethal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was actually pretty well played. Besides, like I think the warrior was actually quite close to stabilizing there.
Yeah, he was pretty close. But I think
Again, it's a really hard
Paladin-
matchup.
yeah, if the Paladin played the Doomsday earlier, I think he would have had lethal earlier.
Right.
But I guess sometimes you just want to play safe in tournaments.
Right. Alright, so we are going to get ready for our next match. That was actually quite a long match. But yeah, our next match is going to be Two-Leg Chair from New York University versus Eric Song from Rutgers University. And let's just give our players a moment to get ready. Okay. So again, by our rules, New York University can no longer play Warrior, and Rutgers can no longer play Paladin. So both of those options are now out for either team. And next up, let's hop right into our next match.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see a freeze mage coming up, but it looks like
We're gonna see
we're
a
having
Druid
a
mirror.
mirror.
The Druid skill mirror, as we like to call it.
Let's see how good these guys are drawing at Wild Growth.
Yeah. Let's do a quick score update here. So Rutgers is up by 1 over New York University.
I would probably toss everything from both sides. There's nothing you really
Yeah.
want, and
Yeah,
you
both
can
of these
keep
hands
living
are
roots.
pretty bad. Right, Roots is probably the only acceptable keep here.
Yeah.
There's not really a reason to keep 6 and 7 drops. I think you gotta dig hard for your ramp in this matchup. 'Cause so many times it just seems like the player that runs away with the game just ends up winning very quickly.
Yeah, you definitely want to look for your ramp. You got a hard mulligan for that. It looks like both players are just gonna wait till the end of the mulligan to show what they toss. Ooh, that's interesting. Actually see a Black Knight.
Whoa,
And,
Black Knight. Yeah, we're seeing the tech cards from Rutgers' side here. Alright, and MC Tech.
yeah.
I'm curious as to what he removed for the Black Knight. Didn't we also saw Sylvanas from his side, so is this maybe straight up Ramp Druid?
It could be. He probably threw maybe a Drake or something
Yeah.
for more tech.
Right.
It's most likely going to be a hero power coming out from New York University.
Right. I don't really see a reason to innovate anything out here. Probably just a hero power past. Okay, so I was thinking about, alright, maybe I'm going to go for a cycle. Look for something I can innovate into, perhaps?
Yeah. The force of nature. Which isn't what he really wants. At least he has the shade for turn 3. Yeah, here comes up the shade after Rutgers actually wild growth on turn 2.
Right.
But Rutgers actually doesn't really have anything good to play. They could wild growth again and hero power, and if New York University happens to Drew Claw with an innervate, then they could kill it instantly with the Black Knight. But other than that, it's pretty awkward for Rutgers here.
Right. And, I mean, it's still like, Rutgers, pretty clear turn, we're just gonna growth, right? Not
Yeah.
really much to do. But New York University is actually out of a turn as well. He still doesn't, I guess he can hope to pick up a 5-drop. I would still probably innervate out a 5-drop in this position. Okay, we don't find it, so we're gonna develop our keeper. We've got a couple options here. We can pass, we can cycle, we can develop a keeper.
Yeah, I think you probably just want to pass here and just hero power. A good draw for them would have been the Thorsen, because they could have Thorsen and discounted the lower as well as the combo pieces. But unfortunately for them, they didn't draw it.
Right.
There is some merit into dropping the keeper, but from what we know, this deck could be more rampy and actually have Ancient Wars. But New York University hasn't seen anything that could tell that.
Right.
And yeah, this is really awkward for Rutgers here, because all they have is an MC Tech and a Keeper of the Grove, as long as some swipes of Black Knight. And you definitely want to save the Black Knight for when a Druid Claw comes out.
Right. And I think so. Black Knight is something. It's really actually not a common card in Druid, so but if you're able to Black Knight a Druid the Claw, it's actually so much swing value.
Yeah. It's also interesting that he has Black Knight and Sylvanas in the same deck.
Right, which
It
is
used
why
to
I'm like,
be either or.
is it straight up Ramp Druid? I'm not sure. It is pretty unusual to see both of these big 6 drops that aren't very commonly run anymore. I remember Sylvanas actually did used to be a staple in combo Druid. Until people were like, okay, maybe this is a little too slow.
Yeah, it was seen quite a lot. It would used to be the Black Knight or the Sylvanas. You usually wouldn't have both of them in because they were so slow.
Right. And then eventually when Emperor came along, people were like, okay, Emperor is the superior 6 drop here.
Yeah. And a lot of people stopped running Ancient of Wars too.
Right.
So Black Knight kind of got shoved out. And we see a Lothab draw here. So New York University can decide between Lothab and Innervate Lore.
Right. So I want to see the Innervate Lore come out here. I don't really think there's a reason to Lothab on this board. Especially if you know that turn 7's coming up, most likely from the other side, it's going to be either, I don't know, Ancient of Lore, Dr. Boom, most likely. So maybe we need to find better ways to deal with that.
Yeah, if maybe he was at 6 mana and he was heading into the 7 mana, he could have played Lothab and then set up his combo.
Right.
But
Just
he was at
actually
5 mana.
deciding to be aggressive with a Shade here and going face.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of interesting because it does open up your Shade to being cleared pretty easily. I mean, I guess you're putting on your opponent on having something like a Swipe or a Keeper.
Yeah, you need Swipe and something else though to like completely deal with the board. So I think it was a safe play and
just the Swipe hero power on the right. Or swipe on either one of them and the hero power actually clears up most of this board. You are taking a bit of damage. Okay,
yeah.
So he's actually gonna go for the double swipe. I like it. You keep your MCT alive as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just gonna you probably kill off this keeper, but there is some merit into not killing it.
Yeah. I think it's fine to go phase. You're not really punished by anything except a taunt, because if he kills it off with like a wrath or something, you just hero power it next turn. You don't have enough mana to use up. You have too much mana for the cards in your hand anyway.
Yeah. Here comes the Wrath and Shredder.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely want more minions on your board with the Savage Roar in your hand. So it would have been better than the hero power with the Keeper.
Right. And with the Ancient of War here, I'm pretty sure we are seeing some kind of Ramp Druid here. Not a traditional combo Druid, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This Keeper, second
this
Keeper though.
Instantly played.
Alright, it's gonna be so good.
He's actually yeah, okay. There's no other answer.
Right. I mean, you could force some nature it down, but I think this is a pretty clear Keeper. Keeper for 5 damage is pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, 1-1 is not what you want to see. Fortunately for NYU though, we do know that both swipes are gone from the opposite side, so not the worst thing that could happen. Okay, so actually, NYU is gonna play it really safe and say we're not even gonna take the 5 damage from the 5/5 here, and decides to stack the 2/1 in. I'm not sure if I agree with that, because I know that we know that there are no swipes left in Rutgers deck, right?
Yeah, I would have used the faces to kill it off because NYU does have the Lothab, but they're not too worried about getting comboed down, so their health is pretty irrelevant at this point, especially since they're trying to end the game. Yeah, this Black Knight's been sitting there pretty awkwardly for Rutgers here.
Right. But NYU does have 2 good targets for it sitting in his hand right now, so if either of those come down, That Black Knight's gonna get his swing value.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be played though. It's most likely going to be a Lotheb set up for the combo follow-up.
Right.
Yeah, here we see the Lotheb being played and just the
Loatheb,
hero power.
we push another 3 damage, and if this Loatheb isn't dealt with next turn, then there's lethal with the combo. So
Yep.
Rutgers has got to be considering this, saying like, okay, so it's coming up on turn 9. He just Loathed me, so probably gonna see a defensive play here. He does have the taunt still, so it's gonna buy him another turn, but still not a really long-term solution here. He doesn't really have a way to start fighting back for board.
Yeah, he has a Drew Claw, Shade, and hero power,
Right,
but he's still really behind.
right. I don't think we can afford to tank this Loatheb damage here, so we gotta go face and probably just go in for the Keeper to finish it off next turn if he trades it into the Druid of the Claw.
Yeah. Looks like he's just gonna combo. and clear a little bit and put some more pressure on. He does have 2 5-drop follow-ups, depending on which one he wants to play.
Alright, so... Okay. So, Rutgers gotta know that, alright, it's coming down the wire here. I'm only at 11 health. We need to take care of this Belcher, right? And the only way is to sacrifice our Shade here and just keep it off. Question is he going to play this Black Knight for value, or is he just gonna keep waiting for a target?
I think at this point you have to play it, but knowing
Right.
from what we know, it's
From
really
what we
bad to
know,
play
it's
it.
right. It's gonna be really good, but okay. So I guess it's only relevant in the case that Belcher is played, because this I have like from what I see here, this Druid Claw is not gonna get taunted.
Yeah.
All right. So Rutgers thinking hard. All right. He's like, am I gonna play just the Black Knight by itself?
Now this is starting to look sort of bad for NYU because Rutgers could have combo in their hand as well, so they
Right.
have to play. They have to decide how they want to play. Do they want to play
Right.
to survive or play to win?
Right.
And here's that's a decent draw if you can Drake and swipe. It removes the Black Knight and also puts pressure on the board. I'm not
Right.
sure if it's better than the double 5s though.
I want to go for the Dragon Swipe because so any of our 5s they don't trade evenly with the 4/5, right? We Dragon
Yeah.
Swipe, we have initiative back on the board, and we can always defend when, or we always have time to play those taunts. And now that we've seen that this Black Knight has come down, there's not going to be another Black Knight.
Yeah. I like the Drake play with the
Yeah,
swipe.
I think both have merit. I mean, like if we play double 5s, better for our curve, and the only problem is if he trades into the Loatheb, then maybe we don't have as clean of a swipe next turn, or we're committing to Drake swipe next turn anyway.
Yeah. This also lets you draw a card.
Right.
Gets you closer to more damage.
Right.
The swipe does 2 damage to the face, so you could be looking towards Drew Claw Savage Roar for lethal.
Right. Definitely think this Druid of the Claw is going one place. Your opponent's at 9 health.
Yeah.
But we see a Scenarios picked up by Rutgers.
That's a really interesting.
Gonna buy him a little more time. The thing is, New York University also has MCT in hand. So, is Rutgers gonna play around the MCT by trading his 2/2 off into the Drake?
He might. He just saw the swipe, but it's sort of unintuitive too.
Right.
because he can set up to kill the Drake because he has to run it into the 2/2 taunts. He might actually sack his keeper. Okay.
Alright, so decides not to play around the MCT. And it's not something you play around a lot of time. I feel like he was considering it.
Yeah.
Because he did take a little bit of time on that turn. And especially because he plays MCT himself, so he's got to recognize that this is a possibility, right? But this is a pretty clear MCT to me. If we steal a 5-8, we just straight up win.
Yeah.
Even if we steal a taunt, it's not bad at all.
Let's see what we get off the MCT. Like, steals a taunt. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I guess he's thinking about, well, I think we would have liked to see this draw come out either way.
Yep. And let's see what we get off this draw. If it's a swipe, that's insane. Oh, another G-Claw.
That's a lot of damage. So I think the play here is just take out the 2/2 Belcher.
Yeah, Belcher is the safest play because he can always G-Claw, double G-Claw next turn.
Right.
There's a Belcher draw. Well, Rutgers doesn't really have that many options here.
Right.
Kill the Belcher and then kill that 2/2. Play his own Belcher. Maybe play the BGH because he just needs to contest the board and have minions.
Right. Just
If-
gotta
if-
hope
if your
that
opponent-
NYU doesn't have any damage in hand, but of course we know that he does. But he's gotta do his best to remove what he can here. You gotta take out the 2/2, right? I
Yeah.
think he's thinking about value trading.
No, he's too low to value trade. He has to
Right.
take out the 2/2 here.
Right. And you just gotta reduce as much damage as you can here. He's actually going for the value trade.
I think I would have played the BGH as well.
Oh, and this
oh, wow.
the second swipe is just devastating. That's game.
Yeah. Just swipe and Claw. But I think I would have played the BGH here because if your opponent plays a boom, you're dead anyways.
Right, there's no way you're coming back from a boom.
Yeah.
I think also, so typically, I think people say that the Ramp Druid is favored in this matchup, but the Ramp Druid also drew quite awkwardly, I would say. He was holding onto that Black Knight since turn 1 and had nothing to play it on.
Yeah, honestly, he should have just tempoed it out because he was so like he had the mana too, and his opponent wasn't really playing that many things, and having the 4/5 would have benefited more than tempo on the Druid Claw.
Agreed. And that puts New York University up 1 point, tying up the series between New York University and Rutgers. And we'll have our next game ready for you in just a moment.
Yeah, it's very likely that Rutgers actually plays Freeze Mage here.
Right. And we've seen the Druid.
And
We've
also
seen the Warrior.
Yeah.
So Freeze Mage seems like a really, really good option for Rutgers right now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how the format like allows you to play different decks depending on what you see, and how other decks strive more after you have been eliminated.
Right. So up next, we're going to be having Eclipse from New York University against Noblord from Rutgers University. Noblord is actually a friend of mine from ladder, so I gotta be rooting for Rutgers team here.
Yeah, Noblor is a pretty well-known ladder player.
Right. We have a lot of good players in CSL. I know we have Phone Tap on St. John's team that we're going to be seeing next week. We've got our very own Itzball from UBC on cast for you guys here.
I think Police Cap was playing in CSL. I think he actually got eliminated this week.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, he was playing for MIT.
Okay. Yeah. But definitely, there's a lot of very strong, well-known ladder players in CSL, so some high-quality games here. I'm ready.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting playoffs for the rest of the season.
Right. Looks like we're just waiting another moment. The players should be getting in game.
Yeah, should be on pretty shortly.
Right.
Probably just a few tweaks.
Right. So, like you said, from Rutgers' spot, it seems like a very likely pick to put in Freeze Mage. And if you're expecting that from NYU side, what do you pick?
Probably something probably
Like our
something
Druid is gone, Warrior's gone. Like, what are we gonna do?
you could play Hunter with players,
Yeah.
or yeah. So there's a mage, and let's see what it is, what kind of mage it is. So it looks like NYU brought up the aggro shaman. Yeah,
Right.
and here's the freeze mage coming
Right.
from Rutgers.
Freeze Mage as we expected. And I think Aggro Shaman is actually a pretty good choice. For Freeze Mage, if they don't draw well, a lot of times it's very easy for the Aggro Shaman to just run away with the game without them being able to develop things like the barrier to prolong the game. So we see actually a pretty decent starting hand from the Shaman side already. He's got that Trog, which is really what you want to see on turn 1, especially from Rutgers' side, Noblord, he's got 2 Frostbolts, a Torch, and an Arcane Intellect. I actually like to keep a Frostbolt in this matchup because it's really good for taking out the Trogs. I might even consider keeping 2, but I would definitely keep at least one of those Frostbolts.
Yeah, I would probably keep 2, but
Yeah. Noblord decides to
that's
go for 1.
yeah, very unfortunate draws from
Right.
Upload with the 2 secrets though.
Right, but also Eclipse's draw is actually very awkward as well. He got 2 Ancestral Knowledges, and if he doesn't find another card to play on 2, he might just have to go for the draw.
Yeah.
Another awkward pickup for Noblord, but yeah, it looks like Noblord is probably just going to be going for the Coin Frostbolt this turn.
I think you can afford to wait for Frostbolt.
Right.
So we'll probably see the Ancestral into the Abusive next turn. It fits the mana curve a lot better and helps him look for more cards.
Right. Well, so if Eclipse uses the Ancestral Knowledge this turn, he can still Abusive next turn, right?
Yep.
So it's probably the play here. You get 2 more damage onto your Trog. Seems fine.
Yeah, here. Yeah, they got Totem Golem for the turn after he plays Abusive.
Right. So now this Frostbolt is definitely going to be coming down here. Unless instead we see the Coin Torch, which is another viable option. I think that's fine. It fits your curve better here. So then we can Acolyte next turn.
Yeah. Yep, the Acolyte versus the Abusive is really good for the Freeze Mage here.
And Novel's got to be thinking about that. He's like, okay, my opponent's only got 1 mana. All the 1 mana minions from Eclipse are going to be less than 3 attack.
Yep. Yeah, the only minion that wouldn't would be a Trog that gets buffed the turn after.
Right.
Yeah, here's the Acolyte. And he can also play Barrier or in the upcoming turns to kind of heal a little bit against the Aggro Shaman.
Right. So Eclipse is actually going to be going for the Lightning Bolt here. So Lightning Bolt into Totem Golem. Yeah, I like this actually, because it keeps your 2-1 alive for another turn. It might be awkward for Noblord to ping because he can't develop a secret as well.
Yeah, it looks like you get Frostbolt and Ping, but I think developing Secret is slightly better.
Yeah.
If he Frostbolts and Pings, he can still Secret and Ping next turn, but he just kind of wants to get the heal off right now.
Right. So actually just gonna see the Totem into Inferno from Eclipse here. And Spell Power Totem is one that you like to see. It's actually pretty good here. So coming up for Noblord, getting trickier and trickier for him to clear up this board.
Yeah, especially with no AoE in his hand or any Doomsayers.
Right.
It's putting him in a very bad position. And this Torchless doesn't run Healbot traditionally, so it's gonna be a very hard matchup for him now.
Right, especially with the Doomhammer being developed here, along with the Rockbiter, it's gonna be a ton of damage coming at him.
Yeah, it's just 10 damage right there. You wanna get that out as soon as possible in case you get frozen by spells that you can't use the Rockbiter effectively.
Right. I feel like the Doomhammer is so effective in this matchup. Like, playing from the Freeze Mage side, I feel like I lose every time they get it on 5. And even 6 in the combination with the Rockbiter is not bad at all.
Yeah, because you, for the most part,
that repetitive damage is too much.
Yeah, you usually only freeze the board, and now you have to worry about the weapon that does 4 damage per turn at the minimal.
Right.
And this Leopard Gnome sometimes makes it really awkward for the Freeze Mage as well, because if they're very low, they can't clear without risking their life.
Right. Play from Noblord here. Is he gonna freeze the golem? Is he gonna freeze the face? So if he freezes the face, it actually reduces the most damage, right? So actually he decides, okay, I'm actually just going in with damage here. He sees that he has 4 burn cards in his hand, so he's like, okay, I'm just gonna burn him to death. That's the plan here.
Yeah, I think his only option is to just throw burn and hope to draw the second ice block when he needs it.
Right.
He does have 12 more burn in his hand, which would put NYU at 8 health.
Right. The spell power totem is gonna be doing work here.
Yeah, the Crackle and the Lava Burst is a ton of damage.
So with the Crackle Lava Burst, we have lethal on board, right?
You have 9 at a minimum.
Right. So
Yeah,
minimum from hand we have 10. We've got 5 on board, so that block is getting popped this turn. And we got a max roll from the Crackle. That has gotta hurt. Well played. Noblord throws out the well played.
Yeah.
There's actually no way Noblord can stay alive here, because even if he, well,
he can draw into block, but it doesn't do anything because he just does the turn after.
Right. Okay, so he's gonna torch this for the block.
Yeah, the best option is just to use the Lava Shock on the face in case of a barrier.
Right. Alternatively, you can sack your Leopard Gnome in.
Yeah.
But Lava Shock on the face seems the most safe.
Yeah, because if it
we want to keep our Leopard Gnome around, right?
Yeah, if it's a block, then you want to keep your Leopard Gnome around.
Right. It is the second block.
Yeah, it's just over for Rutgers here.
Right.
It was a very good pick, but unfortunately he didn't get any of the early clears he needed.
Right. I think he needed the Nova early, and that Doomhammer turn hurt so much.
Yeah, that straight up 10 damage right away.
All right, so that is going to be putting New York University back in the lead 2-1. So this next game is going to be match point for New York if they win, or Rutgers' chance to bring it to Game 5.
It's very interesting to see what they're gonna pick here. We have Rutgers out of the Paladin, the Druid, and the Mage now, and New York University with the Druid, Warrior, and the Shaman.
Right. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is gonna be played? We saw the Druid come down. We saw the Mages. The Mage is gone. The Druid's gone. Warrior's gone. Warrior's gone from New York side. They still haven't played Warlock. It's usually the popular picks we've been seeing every week are Paladin, Warlock, at least.
Yeah, Warlock's a pretty popular pick because you can play so many different types of Warlocks.
Right.
I would probably expect a Warlock here, maybe a Secret Paladin coming from New York University. Decks like Zoo and Luck have pretty good matches all around, so they're pretty
Right.
safe picks.
Right. All right. So our next players are getting ready. So it looks like it's going to be Ornarok from New York University versus Shenando from Rutgers. So this next match is actually going to be, it's really important, right? Because if New York wins this, then they're moving on to the round of 4.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line for
Right.
this match.
Right. I'm in like a Skype chat with the teams right now, and they're taking their time to decide like what they want to play because there's a lot on the line here, right? This is round of 4. Like 2 wins from here gets you to Texas in DreamHack. So definitely want to think about this carefully.
Yeah, you don't want to rush things. You want to see your probabilities of the classes and try to decide. Looks like we do get the Paladin from NYU and the
Right.
Warlock from Rutgers.
Wow, I've never seen the Liadrin animation from this side. That's so nice looking. Alright, so it looks like we are going to be seeing the Secret Paladin from Ornarok of NYU, and we're going to be seeing, looks to be Zoo from Lucid Colo of Rutgers. I feel like this matchup is still pretty draw dependent, but should be slightly favored for the Zoo. But still, I feel like, I don't know, people say it's favored for Zoo, but it's still very draw dependent in my opinion.
Yeah, as a Zoo, you need to be the aggressor in this matchup.
Right.
You definitely trade a little bit less than usual.
Right. Wow,
And
so
from the
actually
look-
Ornok is going up with the Avenge Keep there, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a Secret Keeper, Knife Juggler, Hero Power, Revenge. Unless he needs to trade with something up, then he's going to Avenge on turn 2.
Right.
And from looking at the mulligans of the Zoo, it had Dr. Boom, so it looks like it's going to be a double Sea Giant list.
I'll never tell.
Right. Alright, so Creeper is a decent pickup for Lucid Colo here. Otherwise, he doesn't really have anything to do. Question is, are we coining out? Well, if we're coining out anything, probably Peddler is better here. So if we coin out Peddler, then it denies Ornorok's Juggler, right?
Yeah, it forces Onora to play the secret.
Right. So
We do see
actually,
that.
right, Lucico's gonna go for the spider instead. I feel like this is still weaker because we have no chance of killing the Secret Keeper now, right? With no abusive or anything in hand. Unless our plan is to PO it, it feels a bit weaker to me. But from Ornor's side, I still think we're still just gonna throw down the juggler here, right?
The Creeper kind of makes it awkward for the Paladin because
If you're
Zoo
afraid of
can't
juggler.
have- yeah, if you're afraid
Right.
of the Juggler, so he might be deciding if he wants to Hero Power here and then play Knife Juggler Revenge next turn.
Right.
So it looks like he's just gonna play the Juggler and probably just go face.
Right. So even if the Warlock has a juggler though, It's not that likely to kill your juggler off.
Yeah.
It's a 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Well, 2 1 in
Well,
3s.
yeah, 2 1 with the two
Right, it's
spiders.
a little bit better. So actually, whoa, Lysical is thinking about just going in for the power overwhelming here. He's like, okay, we're gonna keep control of this board.
Yeah, I like this play.
Yeah,
You get 1/3 and 2 1/1s on the board,
right,
and the Secret Keeper basically can't get through your taunt right now.
right. The Voidwalker is actually a really good pickup. Because it's actually, it's very hard for the Secret Keeper to get through this right now, as we said, unless NYU had 2 secrets in hand, which they don't. And it protects your spiders for another turn. So if we draw something like, I think Direwolf would be perfect.
Yeah. So we have a couple options here as the Paladin. You can Hero Power and Avenge. It sets up your Consecration next turn. You could also just
Right.
muster here and kind of prep the Void.
Right. I want to say I like the muster here because I don't think we're going to be using a consecration so early on. Like if he trades his spiders into our 1/1s, it's not a huge deal for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like the, just getting the muster out, but comes with the other play.
Okay, so NYU says, all right, we're going for the avenge here. So then he can't kill off our 1/1 without giving us value. Question is, does he attack here? I think you actually do, because we have the muster in hand, right? We're gonna be able to finish off his void walker either way with our muster.
Yeah. And then he kills it in the Venge procs, and that's totally fine. We do see the Enhance Look come out from the zoo.
Ah, so which
In
one do
the
we
hand.
take here? I think we're actually taking Soulfire. We take Soulfire, I think because we can proc the Avenge this turn. I think it's more likely to be Avenge with this kind of play.
Yeah.
And we can just Soulfire off the Secret Keeper.
Yeah, you can. I would definitely take the Soulfire. You almost
Right.
always take the Soulfire. You want to be the aggressor. You want to.
Right.
And yeah. Oh, we actually see the Void Walker take from the Peddler, which
Interesting.
means he would choose to go face, but he actually gets punished from the Consecration.
Right. He's playing like, okay, I'm just gonna play like he doesn't have Consecration in hand. Oh, but he's gonna get so punished by the Consecration here.
Yeah. And to be fair, most Secret Paladins only play 1 Consecration,
Right.
so it's usually not very likely that they have it on turn 4.
Right. New York University is thinking, alright, is Consecration the play here? Or do we just muster up? Because even muster gets you a pretty clean clear on this board. Muster and Noble Sack buffs the Secret Keeper up to 3. You can clear off the 1/3, and we can pick off 2 1/1s. I actually think it's
honestly like
fine.
the muster play better.
Right.
Yeah, it builds up your board, and it also
We have the Noble Sack Avenge in hand, which is like guaranteed to put us to give us at least a 4/3 on the board.
Yep. And we're probably gonna see an implosion come out from the zoo.
So I think we gotta try to proc the get down first, right, and see if we can get a better implosion target.
Yep.
See where it lands. Probably best case is on the Secret Keeper.
Only if you roll 4.
Right. And this is fine too. So we go for the implosion on the 4/3. Pray that it doesn't hit 2, and we run into the Secret Keeper. Oh, it hit 2. Oh, it's so unlucky.
Yeah, you have to kill the Secret Keeper though.
Right, you do have to kill the Secret Keeper. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and looking at the zoo's hand, it's very hard to come back
Right,
because the Paladin is just gonna clear your board, play Lothab.
right. And this 4/1 is not going anywhere.
Yeah. So we see an Imp Gang draw. Probably
Right.
tap Imp Gang, but it doesn't really do that much on the board.
Right. if NYU decides to trade at all, he can pick it off so easily with just a 4-1 in his face, and you still have the Lothab and the 1-1 coming at you.
Yeah, I think I still like using the Lothab over the 4-1 because it's also very hard for him to deal with unless he has Knife Juggler Implosion.
Right.
But you already saw one Implosion, and he would have played the Knife Juggler unless he just got it off the tap.
Right.
Should I?
Looks like Orneric agrees with you there. It's going to use the Lothab in his face to clear off this 1-1, and I'm going to say probably just develop the Shredder. As well as, okay, so he's going to hold off on the Secret Keeper. Not particularly a reason to, but I guess he realizes that if this board sticks, there's no way he loses this game anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if he draws Challenger, he can still Secret Keeper Challenger.
Right.
It doesn't make too much of a difference.
Right.
And he doesn't want to draw secrets, so...
Right.
Looks like probably a Jouster pick up here. He doesn't have
Yeah.
enough board to pick the Seeker.
Still, is there any way you can come back from this board?
Yeah, this is...
I feel like you really needed at least
8-10.
like a coil here to help you out a little, pick off the 4-1.
Yeah, so if the Zoo doesn't taunt, he's actually dead.
Right. So that's actually just gonna be game.
Yeah. Because Paladin has 16 damage on board, and with the Consecration, that's just enough.
Right. Doesn't even win the joust. Feels bad, man.
Just as good.
Hey, so with that, New York University will be taking the win 3-1 over Rutgers. Congratulations, New York University and University of Illinois for proceeding to the round of 4 tonight. Yeah, those are some intense matchups. We got some
Yeah.
really good games tonight.
Yeah, especially very...
It was pretty rough for the Warlock that game.
Yeah, no.
The 2-plosion hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, and he didn't have an early board like you would expect with Zoo.
Right.
But yeah, congratulations to New York University for advancing to the next round.
Right. Okay. So I guess just a few closing remarks here. Thank you again to our sponsors, Twitch, for hosting our tournament every week. Thank you to our sponsors, ASRG, for sponsoring the travel for these players to go to Texas in a few weeks. And yeah, we will be back next week with the round of 4. And be sure to follow this channel, C-Star League on Twitch, and C-Star League 2 for more Hearthstone action, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Alright, see you guys.
Okay, good night.